mic. I think we need more chairs. There's not enough chairs for people.
I think Mike's more nervous than we are.
I'm nervous. Well, you too.
No,
yeah.
I don't talk in front of people.
You don't look nervous. You look calm.
She likes to make jokes.
No,
She doesn't
but
like to talk.
I've seen you two up here, and you don't look nervous.
Oh, well,
That's
not
because
true.
they're not attacking us and they're making us talk. We sit there quietly. We say what we have. Sue has a lot to say. She gives good updates on what's happening and other things. Me, whatever.
Yeah, but even after all these years, I still get nervous. It's just that, because there's critics among us, you know what I mean? So you always feel like, I don't want to say anything wrong, I don't want to make a mistake, that kind of thing. So.
I don't know.
Like I told you can't now because I have to do the over again. I told Ida, tickle her every 5 minutes.
And I'm going to be on.
No, just see, if that's the information you want me to relay, it better be because I have
That's
nothing
why I got
else to say.
my horizontal, not horizontal, but vertical stripes on.
Press upward. Is one up, one down? I don't know.
To the people standing in the back, we're bringing in more chairs.
Thank you. Whew, it's freezing too.
And I think my closing statement is within my opening statement.
Why don't you sit in the first row
Well, did you try?
next to Alice? Next to Alice.
I'm just going to.
I did it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're working on getting a few more chairs in the room. We're going to get started in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, I made it.
Thank you very much.
I might be.
You could ask,
Do you
please.
have notes or you remember?
No, I haven't.
All she has to do is switch to the other side.
No, I wouldn't be able to remember. Want a mint? Maybe she didn't watch it from home.
I definitely need more chairs.
Yeah. Yeah, both get. Oh. Oh, he is? It would be nice if this many people came to the board meeting. That they would stay involved and
Okay.
know what's going on.
Well,
Although
that's a
some-
challenge.
yeah.
I can see, certainly get out and voice and
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people watch from home too.
yeah.
Did we pick? Oh, she's going to pick and tell us who speaks next. We don't know when we're speaking.
Yeah, she's gonna have somebody.
Yeah, he said Alice is going to do it.
Alice's?
Look, he's asking. Putting on her glasses, getting ready.
Well, they're going to pick for answer the questions.
Opening statements. No, when the questions, I don't know if they're addressed to us as a group, and we all have to answer, or individuals.
I feel like that looks like it's too
And
long.
that's what they're going to choose now. I thought I'd go first because we were sitting, but
I mean, this is my
I didn't read far enough into the instructions,
Oh, so what's it?
which is normal for me.
I did it. I do. Oh, thank you for that. I didn't know it.
I don't remember how it worked.
I didn't know it had that. So I I did that. And I was like, oh, I wish she could have this
All right, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? We will be formally starting this candidates' night in a moment or two. We're just getting a few more chairs out. Thank you for this great attendance tonight. We appreciate it. Hey folks, as part of the process, the opening statements are made by the candidates, and that, per the rules, is designated by a draw. So Alice Pollard, one of your fantastic Concordia residents, has been kind enough to allow me to volunteer her to draw the names. So if you don't mind, we're going to do this right now. We're ready, so pick one, please. Ida James will be first in the opening statement. Next one. Pick a next one, please.
You're going to be just one.
No.
Doesn't matter. Neither do I. John Watts will be 2. Number 3. Thank you. Sue Loricella will be 3. Number 4. Thank you. Sharon Falkowitz will be 4. Number 5 in the opening statement. Amy McSweeney will be number 5. Number 6. Michelle St. Hill will be number 6. I'm not a betting man, but I'm going to go with Paul as number 7. Paul for number 7. Alice, thank you very much. Now, if you'd like an encore, we're going to do this for the closing statements also, and I'll have you come back up and do it then, because the order will change. Thank you very much, Alice. Appreciate your participation tonight. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a few more chairs coming out. Thank you to candidate John Watts for helping put the chairs out. Appreciate that, John.
You're going to go without too fast. Take a deep breath and now blow out real slow.
All right. Okay. Corey's going to correct the sound issue we're having for the broadcast. It's very important that the folks at home can hear this as well as see it. It will be streaming live on YouTube. We're also going to be recording it. We'll have the recording up on channel 26 by this Friday. So it's important that we capture the sounds correctly. It's not just the ability to hear in this room, but it's the ability to capture it adequately for the recording for the folks at home or anybody else, including yourselves, who want to watch it on a replay. I was going to read the summary of the rules, but I'm going to wait until we confirm the sound is on. And thank you. Yes. Thank you, Chad. If you have not yet already, please put your cell phone on silent out of respect and courtesy to your fellow unit owners and candidates. We appreciate your willingness to be here. If we could ask you to participate and silence your phones, that would be great. Corey, how we doing, bud? Good sound? Okay. All right, folks. Welcome. The 2026 Candidates Night. This is a brief summary of the rules. The rules were left in the back. If anybody else would like to receive them, I'll be happy to send them. The meeting is a 2-hour time limit. We will run from approximately 7 to 9. We'll call the actual time once we start. As I just mentioned, it is streamed on YouTube, and it will be recorded for playback on channel 26. There is an opening statement made by all the candidates. It's a 90-second statement for each. Should take them about 15 minutes to get through. We ask that they state their name, their address, and how long they've lived in the community, and why they are running. And those 2 questions were the 2 most frequently received questions, so we asked them to bake it right into the opening statement so we can get that out of the way right up front. For any question asked of the candidates, they will have 1 minute to reply. If a question is asked to a specific candidate, it will be for them to answer in a 1-minute format. If any other candidate would like to answer that question, we will afford them that opportunity to do so, and then allow any other candidate to also answer at that point. Some questions were received for all candidates to answer. Some were received for incumbent candidates or those who are currently trustees that are running again to answer, and some were directed at new candidates. If we get through each question with all 7 candidates providing a narrative answer up to 1 minute, it should take about 9 to 10 minutes to get through each question. As of yesterday, 5 o'clock, we had received 15 questions. Another 7 came in today, 22 questions, and some of them are multiple parts. It is entirely likely we will not get to the entire list of questions tonight. We will do our best to go through them, but your participation will help us to get through that. So please, the littlest amount of disruptions we can have would be ideal. It is respectful to your candidates as well as to the process itself. Jillian Stieber is First Service Residential Manager. Will be providing the moderator duties. I will be the timekeeper. If there are any comments that are made from the floor, we will quell them. We've asked the candidates in advance not to address them directly. The moderator will ask all questions. In the past, they have permitted questions to be handed to the moderator from the floor. Given the slate of candidates and the size of the questions list already, I can pretty much tell you I don't think we'll get to them. But if you feel compelled to provide a question, please give it to me, and I will hand it to Jillian. But again, as I said, we've got over 20 questions, and that's almost 4 hours worth of questions. If you take out the 30 minutes or so we need for the open and close, we've got about 90 minutes or so for questions. So we will be as efficient as possible, but the candidates deserve an opportunity to be heard. So I ask you to please allow for that to happen. Now, if there's nothing else, I'll ask you to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For anybody who's just coming in, we had Ms. Alice Pollard help us draw the names per your rules for the opening statements. So we will ask Ida James to begin with her opening statement. The official time of the beginning of our candidates night is 7:07. I will be providing, at a 45-second mark, a 15-second yield sign to the candidates to let them know. And when they hit the 1-minute mark, I will hold up a stop sign. If they continue to go beyond the 1-minute stop point, I will look to interfere in their response when there's a break in their statement. It is a disrespectful thing to do. However, I have to do it out of respect to the process and to the candidates. I've already apologized to all of them in advance for interrupting them, but it's not meant to be deliberate. Yes, sir.
That's for the questions, right? 90 seconds.
Question and answer, yes.
Yep.
The 90 seconds for the opening, the rules say 60, I'm okay with 90. I think it's important you have 90 seconds on your closing as well. Feels very fair to do that. And the extra 30 seconds each, you do not need to take it, but you're welcome to. We will run a 90-second clock for the openings and the closing, 60 seconds for the questions. Thank you, everyone. Ida, whenever you're ready, you may make your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out and attending this evening. My name is Ida James, and I am a homeowner here at Concordia. I live at 2A Aaron Burr, and I've been here a year. Throughout my career, I have acquired experience in public roadway operations, employee relations, conflict relations, public safety, and a union board representative. I am formally an EMS certified. I trained and I worked along with nurses, doctors, and patients at the University of Medicine and Dentistry Hospital Emergency Room in Newark, New Jersey. I'm formerly a gym owner, and I also was trained as an EMS fitness trainer. So I do understand the concept of running and financing a business. I have experience and knowledge in the area of landscaping as well as seasonal weather-related roadway conditions. These roles have strengthened my leadership skills, and with my years of experience in transportation and problem solving, I have proven my ability to mediate workplace concerns, support organizational goals, and I am committed to assist with fairness and professionalism and professional resolutions and communications to strengthen overall morale and cooperation within Concordia.
Thank you. So it's 1:41. Thank you.
That's it?
Again, I told you it's very awkward. I'm very sorry, but yes, ma'am. John Watts, whenever you're ready, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone being here. Thanks for our current board and our property management for allowing us to do this. I'm thrilled to be up here. I'm not a public speaker, so I'm not really thrilled, but I'm glad that this opportunity is available. And thank you, Jillian, for doing the moderating very much. So I live at 6 James Buchanan Drive with my wife, Kathy. We celebrated our 49th anniversary last week. And one of the things that I've learned, sorry, did I say enough on that? Oh, and we've been here 13 years. One of the things I've learned is in partnership or working with a team, it's not about me. And while I've got a pretty fair ego, and Kathy would agree with that, or she'd verify that, one of the things that I've learned is absolutely being part of a team is wonderful. And I see a team that's working for our benefit here. I hope that I can improve how this team does that work. I think I can. There's 2 main items I'd like to see us work on in the first 90 days if I'm on the board, as a board, and letting you all know that it's being worked on. The first is the communication that goes between the board and the community. The second is to get a view from 30,000 feet on our finances, our long-term plan, which I've asked about every year for about 6 years now, and I've asked multiple times in some years, so that we can get a fairly detailed, again, not all of that from 30,000 feet, but put some meat on the bones and explain where our game plan is. And I understand we've changed property managers, so this is not an accusation about our property manager by any stretch.
John, we're at 2
Thank
minutes,
you.
sorry. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Sue, whenever you're ready, please.
Good evening. My name is Susan Lauricella, and I live at 5 Betsy Ross Drive. This August will be 4 years that I live here in Concordia. Like many of us, I care deeply about our community and want to ensure that Concordia remains financially sound, well-maintained, and an enjoyable place to live. When I first moved here, my HOA fees increased $50 within the first 5 months, and then another $50 the following year. That experience is what motivated me to run for the board. Over the past 2 years, one of my primary goals has been to strengthen Concordia's financial position while keeping our community affordable. In prior years, a substantial amount of our reserve funds were spent without fully recognizing the long-term impact it would have on our future financial strengths. Last year, our reserve fund increased by approximately $415,000, and we expect a similar increase again this year. Through competitive bidding and contract negotiations, I help support initiatives to save our community $432,000 annually. In addition, our Comcast agreement provided significant savings to our residents and helped offset our HOA increase that year. Amy and I worked together on the Concordia 55 website and providing residents with a place to find all their information. Okay, jump to the end. As board secretary, I made a priority to respond to Ask the Board inquiries within 24 hours. While there's always room for improvement, I remain committed to improving communications, transparency, and responsiveness between our residents and board. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Sharon Falkowitz, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Candidates Night. Thank you, Jillian, for moderating. Mike, you can hold up the stop sign now. I would appreciate it. My name is Sharon Falkowitz. I reside at 38B Daniel Webster. As of August 1st, I will be living here 19 years. I retired from Maidenforth Broad Company in 2008. Having worked for Maidenforth for 29 years, I found it a very uplifting experience. As you can see, my role on the board is to break the ice and bring the temperature down a little bit. I have served on many committees, including Budget and Finance, Covenants, CAC, Health Advisory Committee, and the Welcome Committee. I was elected to the board the first time, 2014, and again in 2022. As Assistant Director, Treasurer, I review unit owners' accounts, and in collaboration with First Service, was able to succeed in reducing past due accounts from approximately $300,000 to $100,000. This is an ongoing job. When we finish with somebody, somebody else likes to pop up. I assist John Patterson on many of our trips in New York, making sure our residents have a great time and get home safely. Orientations are one of my favorite activities. I like introducing and helping new residents acclimate themselves to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Amy, when you're ready.
I'm going to talk fast. Thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Amy McSweeney. I live at 4A Glastonbury Drive, and I've been here for 8 years. It's hard to believe that it's been 2 years that I've been on the board. It's been a fabulous 2 years. During that time, I've been proud to be part of a genuine team effort. While each of us can point to our individual contributions, the majority of our accomplishments have been the result of actually working together. We are a collaborative team. For example, and I'm not going to repeat the numbers Sue said, but we have saved this community well over $415,000 back to the reserves, as well as the savings in garbage, landscaping, and all of that. Additionally, what nobody mentioned so far is that we finally repaired the relationship with the golf course, which is increasing, generating additional revenue for us as well. Personally, I worked with Sue to develop and deliver the world-class website, bringing together all the information a resident needs and shows off our community to new buyers. Brought back the Concordia Craft Show to the delight of many residents, and I serve as the liaison to the Health Advisory Committee and as the backup liaison to News Magazine and Welcome Committees. And I hear you, and currently I'm working on improving communications from the board to the community. Serving on the board has been a privilege. Most recently as vice president, I hope to continue to the work that I started. And when I say the hard work, it is hard work. It's not just 3 meetings a month, it's a daily commitment. So I hope you'll re-elect me, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michelle, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Michelle St. Hill, and I'm running for the Concordia Board of Trustees. I live at 3B Hillsborough Drive, and I have called Concordia home for 4 years. I love this community, and I want to make sure it is the best it can be. I have been an active member of Concordia, serving both on the Covenant Committee and the website and technology. Listening to residents, understanding their concerns, and seeing firsthand where improvements are needed. I am someone who organized a petition about errant golf balls damaging homes, and perhaps I have rung your doorbell because I care. That experience reinforced my belief that meaningful change requires being at the table, not just raising awareness. My reasons for running go far beyond one issue. I am running because of rising fees, lack of communication, financial challenges, and residents who have felt ignored for far too long. Professionally, I bring over 20 years of experience in operations, budgets, negotiating contracts, and technology. I know how to get things done efficiently. I am deeply concerned about the financial health of our community, and I am committed to addressing it responsibly. I am not running to cause conflict or to make noise. I am running to make a difference here. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul, whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay. My name is Paul Seidenstock. I live at 16A Edinburgh Drive. I have lived in Concordia for 8 years and believe it is a great place to live. We all know the community is facing difficult financial decisions, and to ensure the HOA continues to provide the best services possible at the lowest costs without sacrificing quality. As noted in my resume, I am a practicing attorney, and I believe I can use my training and knowledge to assist the board in making the difficult decisions that must be made to keep the community on a strong financial footing. This would include reviewing and comparing proposals for services to assure that we get the most service for the money spent. I also believe there should be more communication between the board and the homeowners, especially in keeping the community informed about changes that are being considered to the bylaws and the rules and regulations. I think such communication would help to alleviate any belief that the board is making unilateral decisions without informing the community beforehand. If you vote for me, I promise to work tirelessly to make Concordia the best it can be. There are a lot of challenges to be tackled by the board, and I believe my knowledge and experience would be an asset to the community. I promise to work collectively with the other board members to ensure that you receive the services to which the community is entitled.
Thank you, Paul. Let the record reflect that you stopped right before I picked up the stop sign. Thank you, sir. We will move to the question portion. Jillian Stieber, as moderator, has a list of questions. As the rules state, Jillian, you will pick the first person to ask the questions, and then every question thereafter, just start with someone else in the order. And I will run the clock whenever you see fit to start.
Okay. So for the first question, we're going to start with Sharon. In a prior election, a candidate decided not to serve once elected, which cost the HOA more than $16,000 to run another election. Will you commit to fulfilling your elected term?
Absolutely. I will commit to that. The only reason I would not is if there were any health reasons. Otherwise, I'm fully committed to helping this community.
Thank you. Next will be Ida.
Same question, yes, ma'am. Same question.
I too am committed to do whatever I can, 110% of my ability, to the satisfaction of everyone here in Concordia. I too am committed for resolutions and resolving any and all issues. Thank you.
Susan?
Yes, absolutely. I made it through the first 2 years, and I can make it through another 2 years, no problem.
Amy?
Can I just say ditto? I absolutely am committed to being a member, and out of the 2 years I've been here, I've never missed a meeting, so I'm committed.
Yeah, unless they carry me out in a coffin, I promise that I will serve at least the 1 year necessary so that they, they can appoint somebody without having a new election. I think it's very important that unless you have some really significant health issue or other problem, that you serve at least the 1 year period so the board can appoint somebody instead of calling a new election.
Michelle?
Yes, and I will also do the same thing that he just said. And that's why my name is on the ballot. Thank you.
Yes.
There we go.
Let the record reflect that I didn't have to start the clock. Thank you.
All right, for the second question, we're going to begin with John. How many hours per week do you see yourself working on HOA business?
Well, if it averages like the last week since I became a nominee, probably about 50 hours. However, I'm not expecting to keep that pace, whether I'm here or in Florida. I would tend for it to probably be in the 10 to 20 hour range most of those 2 years.
Michelle?
After speaking with Michael yesterday, it seems that it will be at least, after speaking with Michael yesterday, it seems like it will be at least, could be 4 hours for each internal meeting. So I am committed to do whatever I need to do to fulfill my board responsibilities.
Paul?
I'll work as many hours as necessary to ensure that my work on the board is, productive, and I have no problem putting in as many hours as I can or as needed, depending on situations as they arise.
Amy?
I think I average probably about 10 to 12 hours a week now. I'm happy to do whatever it takes. If there's an increase, there's an increase. When we were working on the website, it was at least 20 to 30 hours a week. So I'm committed to whatever it needs.
Susan?
Yeah, we pretty much, I mean, we're not on call, but we get email messages throughout each day we have to respond to. And besides the meetings that we attend, that we also chair our liaisons to different committees, which we sit in on their meetings as well. And we are involved in events that take place here, like Tunes on the Terrace, things like that, that we initiated, the holiday fair. So it really does add up to a lot of time. I try to take the weekends off.
Ida?
I am going to try my best to be committed to as many hours as necessary for any and all issues, and that's God willing.
And Sharon?
Yes. Oh, that wasn't a yes or no. I can't answer that question. I'll work as many hours as necessary. It all depends on how many orientations we have, how many board meetings we have, whatever's necessary, including walking around and talking to the various residents at any time. They can ask me questions, so anytime.
Thank you. The next question, we're going to start with Ida. What do you think makes a good board member?
Work member, you said?
I'll repeat. What do you think makes a good board member, a good trustee? What do you think makes for a good trustee?
Someone who can resolve conflicts, issues, come across communicating very well, and interacting with Concordia residents and showing their concern and being present and being available when necessary and needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan?
Let's see, the best way to answer this would be, I hope I have been a good board member. I try to listen to the residents. I respond to their inquiries that come through on Ask the Board. I try to think of things that we need, like, for example, a lot of the new people that were coming in for orientation, they wanted to learn Mahjong, so we set up a Mahjong class for them. So we try to stay in tune with what's needed, and of course, make sure that I'm at all the meetings, which I have 100% attendance.
Amy?
I think that everybody here, of course, is focused on the financials. And so, yes, you have to be astute with financials and be able to read the budget and follow it. But I think a good board member is also well-rounded and has other skills, process management, conflict resolution again, and just a general desire to help people. When I see somebody that has an issue, I want to try to help them. And I try to keep my word and get back to people as soon as I can. So I hope that I've been a good board member, and I think that I will just continue doing what I do best.
Paul?
I think a good board member requires a little humility to be able to work with the other board members and keep their ego in check sometimes. And I also think someone who's willing to work hard, work with the other board members, learn from the board members that are already on the board, so that everything goes smoothly for the community and that work gets done expeditiously.
Michelle?
I would like to reword that question, and instead of saying, what are the qualities of a good board member, I would like to say, what makes a board member very effective? What are the effective qualities of a board member? The first thing I would say is being able to listen to residents, because that's our number one priority. Another thing is being financially sound, making financially sound decisions. Another thing I would say is that being willing to admit when a decision was not the best and learn from it, and so that the next time you'll be able to make a better decision. Another thing I would say makes an effective board member is the same way you are before you get on the board, you should be like that when you get on the board.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
John?
Thank you. Being a good team player, I play rugby. There's 15 on a team. It's a contact sport. If you're not a good teammate, if you're not a good team member, the other team will pick your team apart. We have a team of 7 people that are supposed to be listening to our residents, our other co-owners. We've got to do that better. Again, the communication. One of the things I'd like to do in the first 90 days is for us to track what questions come in that are community related, not individual on this list, but what is a community related item and how well is it being handled? Is it moving through the steps? Are you being ignored? Hopefully you're not being ignored. And if it's an individual item on a separate list, we track those, and the board makes sure those items are being done correctly. Thank you.
And Sharon?
Well, I believe a good board member is someone who checks their ego at the door and works as a team to help the community, a team to help management in particular, and to communicate with all the decisions that are made. I think we can do a better job than we have been doing, but we are succeeding in improving our communication skills as of now.
Thank you. Before we move on to the next question, I do ask that if you are having side conversations, please do so in the hallway, just out of respect of your neighbors sitting next to you. The next question, we're going to start with Michelle. Have you read the bylaws?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Paul?
Yes, I have.
Amy?
Yes, I have.
Susan?
A few times.
Ida?
I have not completed all of the bylaws.
Sharon?
Yes, I'm very familiar with the bylaws.
And John?
Yes.
As a quick point of order, if any candidate would like the question restated, just please ask. We'll be happy to restate the question at any time. I know it gets a little, as you go down the row, if anybody would like a restatement, happy to do so. Thank you.
The next question is specific for incumbents. We're going to start with Amy.
Good. Sir.
Which accomplishment during your term are you most satisfied with?
I would definitely have to say the website. This community had nothing that was even similar to it. We had Neighbor Network, and we worked tirelessly. The original contract was negotiated extremely well by Jerry Weiss, and then Susan and I took it over, and we worked our tails off on it, and I am very, very proud of that website.
Jillian, I'm sorry, can you read the question again?
Which accomplishment during your term are you the most satisfied with?
Thank you.
Next will be Susan.
Well, I mean, working with my colleagues on the board was very rewarding, and I feel like without them and their support, a lot of the things that we wanted to do wouldn't have been accomplished. So I was particularly interested in starting Tunes on the Terrace, which I felt like it would be really a great evening out for our residents to enjoy and relax in the nice weather. So I'm very proud of that. I think people are really enjoying it.
Sharon.
Well, as I mentioned in my opening statement, I think one of my major accomplishments was reducing our outstanding past due balances. It was a commitment I made when I took the job in 2023. when I saw that we had a $300,000 balance and many past due items. And with the help of Mike and First Service, we reduced it greatly, and we're continuing to do so. So if you vote for me, I hope to continue the job.
The next question is specific to new candidates. We're going to start with Ida. What changes would you like to see here?
Well, considering I'm new, I'm going to learn as much as I possibly can. And changes, I'd like to see maybe more and better communication between the board members and the Concordia residents. I think it would be a good idea to have more of a perspective coming from the residents and suggestions, more suggestions and ideas, so the board, so we can collaborate and do whatever we need to do possible to make the community better overall. Thank you.
Paul?
I'd like to see better communication between the board and the community. I think one of the problems that we have and that makes community HOA members upset is that they get information at the last minute and then they're told this is going to happen or that's going to happen, and they don't get any information beforehand to say this is why we're making the changes and why it's necessary. If that were done, I think it would resolve a lot of the conflict between the residents and the board.
Michelle?
One of the issues that I keep hearing is the lack of communication, and I think that's one of the major issues that I would like to address. It might seem like a difficult thing to do, but when we all put our heads together to come up with ways to improve it, it can be done, and it must be done. So that's one of the main things that I would like to do going forward.
John?
Making sure the residents are part of the decision-making process anytime possible. When Rob DeBella was president, I believe there was a survey that was done to ask residents on a particular topic, and the response to that was greater than the average voting turnout here. So it's not that difficult to ask for input if we really want to hear it. I'd like to be able to hear an open conversation about things like 2 amendments and get the full reading on them before it's actually sent out in the mail on a vote. Thank you.
The next question is also for new candidates. If you could make one change in the roles and responsibilities of the board, realistic or unrealistic, what would they be? We're going to begin with Paul.
That's a good question. Well, the board is bound by the bylaws and the rules and regulations, so I don't know if there's anything I could say that would maybe make something realistic or unrealistic as to what changes could be made. The only thing I think really needs to be done is to have better communication between the board and the residents as things are being discussed, so that the residents are aware of what's happening. And as John said, we would have the residents give us feedback, and that could be taken into account before a final decision is made.
Michelle?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Yes. If you could make one change in the roles and responsibilities of the board, realistic or unrealistic, what would they be?
I think one change or improvement I will make is to assign a board member to be a community liaison, and that will be the person who will be able to respond to the concerns and the issues of all of the residents here.
John?
I like Michelle's, the beginning part to that, absolutely. I think including 2 community members that aren't on a board as part of that oversight process or participation process to make sure that those items are being handled. It allows for, some people call it transparency, I call it accountability. I'd like to see accountability on making sure that items are actually being addressed to our residents on a timely basis, especially, again, when it's a personal item. And I'm going to use Alice as a for instance. I've already stopped by and seen Alice since my name was one of the qualified candidates, because I do a chat with John on Fridays. People may or may not have seen this yet, but it's out in front of our house, and it's out by the board where the nominations are, the resumes, every Friday between now and election, Friday 1 to 2, but I did a home visit for Alice because safety in a multi-unit location should be available. Thank you.
Ida?
Can you repeat the question for me, please?
If you could make one change in the roles and responsibilities of the board, realistic or unrealistic, what would they be?
Realistically, I'd like to also be accountability. And when it comes to any of the bylaws, be realistic and be honest and open with Concordia residents on any of the issues and resolutions. And that's the best thing that I can say. Being realistic with everything and being out open and honest with everyone, and then coming up with a solution that's satisfying for everyone on the board and as a resident. Thank you.
The next question is also for new candidates. We're going to begin with Michelle. Pertaining to the dog run, would you have voted for or against it?
Are we back at that again? I have 2 small dogs, and I'm sure they will love me to take them there. When I moved here, okay, that was not a priority for me, because I was aware that there were dog parks less than 5 minutes away from here. That's a lot bigger for dogs to have more fun. And I think because of our financial situations, I think more thought process should have gone into that. And I also feel that the residents should have had an opportunity to vote on that. That should not have been a unilateral decision. So I would not have voted for that, even though I have 2 dogs.
Thank you. Folks, before we go any further, I will ask you to please, as much as it might be a provocative response or question, please keep the applause or any sort of crowd response to a minimum out of respect to the crew. Thank you.
John?
I'm with Michelle on that one. If it had been vetted and the community had been included in the discussion beforehand, then it's a separate decision. The second item is it's an additional amenity that's not required by the bylaws. We haven't gotten out of our fix yet, even though the capital reserve grew. It's still 1/3 of what it was about 7 or 8 years ago. I've got the numbers, but we were over 5 million. We're at 1.5 million. It's less than 1/3 of what it was. Adding on a new amenity, to me, is a real challenge. There's got to be something that the whole community, the consensus of the community would have wanted. So I'm with Michelle on that one. I would have voted no.
Ida?
Well, considering my only grandson is a dog, Blue, my granddog, I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. Actually, I would go with the majority of my Concordian residents and what they feel on my decision on that. So I'm up here saying neither yes or no. So I would probably go with the polls and what everyone else, you know. I'm on the line, but I do babysit from time to time, so that's where I stand on it. I know some may not agree, but I would go with the majority of how everyone feels and what's best for Concordia.
Paul?
I probably would have voted no on that because, again, as Michelle said, there are 2 dog parks pretty close to the community, and for most people in Concordia, even if they want to use the dog park in Concordia, they have to get in their car to bring their dogs there. So why we needed an extra dog park, at this point, and from what I understand, it's not in the best location, and it tends to be, underwater a lot of the time. So, if I think, again, had the issue been put out to the community and people had been asked to respond and to give their opinion, it would have helped at least to alleviate any problems. If a great majority of the community had said, no, we don't want it, the board could have taken that into consideration.
The next question is also for new candidates. We're going to begin with John. What is your financial background, and what would you do to improve the finances of our community? Please include ways to save and ways to improve.
Financial background, since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, my dad was talking about the businesses he was investing in. He ran money on Wall Street. He had one of the first funds that reached $1 billion when that was a real number. He would say no matter what Democrat or Republican was in the White House, they were messing up the business environment. I advised individual clients for the bulk of my adult career with anything to do with their net worth, their estate planning, their investment portfolio. I understand numbers reasonably well. I did it for a career. I retired at 51. From that career, we have a handicapped daughter that at that point I decided it was time to spend more time with my wife. And what should we be doing here? We should be looking at the biggest 3 items. Roofs are one of them, and we should get a list of how many roofs have 2 roofs, how many need to be replaced, how many are leaking, because right now it's a good job that's reasonably being done. We can improve on it on our expenses. Thank you, Mike.
Ida?
As I mentioned earlier, I previously owned a business, so I have experience in financing and running the business, and that is part of my background. And I would just try my best to lend any and all of my experiences and my knowledges in that area to best serve Concordian residents. Thank you.
Paul?
I really don't have a financial background. As I said, I'm an attorney, but I am a, fairly successful person. I have money in the bank. I have, I'm able to budget myself. So I think overall, anyone who is in Concordia knows how to budget. If you're taking in $1 million a year and you're spending $1,100,000, you're going to be in trouble. So the issue is we know how much we're taking in, we know how much we have to spend, and we have to see where we can spend the money the best, how we can cut expenses, and if we can't, and the HOA fees have to go up every year, which they probably will, even if a small amount, that has to be done.
Michelle?
Can you repeat the question, please? I'm sorry.
What is your financial background, and what would you do to improve the finances of our community? Please include ways to save and ways to improve.
I know how to understand and read a budget. I know how to ask hard questions to make informed decisions. We recently had that reserve studies, and I think that in there has a lot of red flags and a lot of suggestions that we should be following. For example, getting an energy audit, so that should be helpful to bring in some reserves, and that's what I have to say.
The next question is specific for John. Being a board member is not just attending meetings, it is serving on committees, doing orientations, attending functions, interviewing contractors, and more. How can you do all of this when you are living in Florida from October to May? And I'll ask again for the comments from the crowd just to lull down a little bit. Thank you.
I'll start. Thank you. I don't live in Florida from October to May. I go down there typically the end of October, middle to the end of October, and we're usually back in April. We're up here about 3 times during the winter. I will say that it's very easy to wind up running a business from another state or being on a board from another state for some of those times. We've got board members that have done vacations and are away for substantial time as well. My intent would be to be attending at least 80% of the open meetings in person and 90% either in person or via Zoom. Before my name went in, I talked with management to make sure that they are doing Zoom meetings already and that attending those meetings is not an issue. And you'll get a full effort from me whether I'm in Florida or I'm up here. Thank you.
The next question is also specific for John. How does living here part-time give you the ability to be a contributing board member?
You just said that.
I'm going to suggest that I answered the question. Let me repeat.
Yeah,
Anybody
John,
that would-
sorry, I would,
No,
no,
let me-
I was going to say, I would give you the opportunity to restate the answer, but it does feel almost
It
a
does feel
repetitive question.
repetitive. Let me say, one of the things that I'm doing every Friday from last Friday, where I had 3 people already come, until the election, is to come and chat with me from 1 to 2 o'clock Friday at our home. Every Friday I'm doing that. I would like the board to continue doing that once a month, and I'm happy to be the main person doing it virtually every single month. We typically are not, Kathy and I typically are not up here during February and March. However, I've already made plans to make that available as well. My primary responsibility in Florida, just like it is up here for my activities, is I play softball. I can miss softball meetings to be up here. That is not an issue. Again, I'd like to see this once a month by our board. I'm happy to be the lead person on that, and I would be doing it 10 months out of the year, even when the board is not doing open meetings. I will be accessible. My cell number is on the resume that's out there for everyone. I don't hide from people. I shoot from the hip. You will have somebody working for you if I'm on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
The next question is for all candidates. Do you believe that the number of committees in Concordia should be increased to include committees for solicitation of vendors, solicitation of management company, and solicitation of residents who qualify for board membership? We're going to start with Susan.
Wow, you're going to have to repeat that because,
It's a long one.
yeah, plus I'm not sure if I completely understand it.
Can I try and restate? So I'll state it as it was written, and then I'll give a restatement summation. Do you believe the number of committees in Concordia should be increased to include committees for solicitation of vendors, solicitation of management companies, and solicitation of residents who qualify for board membership? To say it differently, do you feel that the number of committees in Concordia that are in service to the board should be increased?
So you're saying like the newspaper, like WCOC, add these additional committees?
In addition to the existing committees, do you think the board should extend added committees for the solicitation of vendors, management companies, or residents for potential board membership.
Okay, well, actually, I'd have to say that that is a responsibility of the board, so I don't see that going into a committee situation, but I would like to have a communications committee, which I think could be an asset to our community.
Amy?
All of the committees you mentioned are exactly why we're sitting up here. You elect a board based on your trust in people to do all of those things. And, you know, we have reduced expense. The contract negotiations that we did this year were very intense, and we've managed to reduce expenses by a lot. I don't think a committee for each of those things is a good idea. I do agree with a communications committee. And I would also like to see a committee of people who just come up with ideas for things that we could do to improve the clubhouse. So that would be something, because we really want to start working on the clubhouse. But no, I don't think we need those 3 committees.
Paul?
I have to agree with the 2 board members that just spoke. I don't think that having committees for solicitation of vendors or management companies would be a valid, idea, because as they said, that's the board's decision, and the board is the one that solicits these vendors and the management company. I think it would just create more problems if you had committees first going out to solicit vendors. It would become very cumbersome, and I think overall, you've elected a board, you have to trust the board, and they are the ones who have to make the decision as to who they want, to approach, to have, to solicit as vendors. And the solicitation of candidates for the board, I mean, we already solicit candidates. We ask people if they want to run for the board. I don't know what a committee would do that would be any different than just asking people whether they want to run.
Michelle?
I also agree with what Paul had said. I don't think it's necessary to have all of those committees that you just mentioned, and the board should be the one who has the responsibility of communicating with those type of vendors and those other things that you just mentioned.
John?
I agree there should not necessarily be a committee, but I do believe that the board has an obligation to be forthcoming to the community when there's items that are going on that impact the budget, impact the capital reserves. I believe that each of us has a right to be aware of what's going on with those items, preferably beforehand. I understand sometimes there will be sensitive items that it can't be put out to the community ahead of time. There's very few of those in my mind, so I would intend to wind up having those items shared with the community at least at a meeting beforehand or before it's brought out, and make sure that if there needs to be a town hall meeting, that there's an availability for that as well prior to the board making those decisions. Thank you.
Sharon?
I agree with most of the board members, but I am open to ad hoc committees for any situations that arise where we can use additional help. Management has their responsibilities and the board has theirs, and sometimes too many voices cause conflicts. So my opinion is, depending on the need, if we need a committee, we will form one, as we just did with the Finance Committee.
Ida?
I do agree with the board, and I believe that it is their responsibility to make the final decision. However, I do also agree with some of what Sharon said. With the communication of the board and the residents, there could be some qualified suggestions on different vendors, and that can also help the board in a final decision when it comes to soliciting vendors or anything. And of course, this would be as necessary and the need. Thank you.
The next question, we're going to start with Paul. Do you believe that the board should encourage residents to participate in committee activities by promoting such activities at board meetings?
Can you repeat that again?
Do you believe that the board should encourage residents to participate in committee activities by promoting such activities at board meetings?
So are you asking whether the board should encourage people to join committees? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Essentially,
Yes,
should the
I
board
mean,
encourage and
right, yeah,
solicit greater
absolutely.
participation?
I think the board should encourage people to join committees at the board meetings, depending on whether committees need additional people. The board can advertise that and say, Committee X would need, 2 additional people or whatever, and they should, they can advertise that at the board meetings and, ask people to volunteer.
Amy?
I agree. I think that we should encourage people to join committees. There was previously an event where all the committees had a table and people could just come in and meet the committee people and decide whether or not they wanted to join. We have so many things here that there's so much to do. Committees are so important. They help us. They're an arm and a leg, basically, of our board. So I think that at every board meeting, when we give like a little statement about what the committees are doing, if people want more information, certainly they can ask. But we should do a better job of telling people what's going on with those committees.
Susan? Oh, we're going to take a pause then.
Hold on a minute, please, everyone. Hello, everyone. Give us 1 minute, please, while we try and figure out what's technically happening. As you can see, this is a very compelling conversation. We're about halfway through it. So thank you all for your continued patience and cooperation. Hopefully this only is a minute or two. If you need a bathroom break, now's a great time. No? See the concession stand in the back? No? We're good? All right, let's give Corey a minute. See if he can tie the wires together and get us back online. Hold on, folks.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mike.
Mike, you can let them know that WCOC, it went to the Brandeis viewing on the bees. Oh. Yeah. Yep. And it's on.
Back? All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment or two. Just wait for my associate Corey Harris to return.
What happened? It went off at 8 o'clock on purpose, so what? They want to keep us here after 9? Jillian, how many more questions? How many more?
Corey, we good? Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
10 more questions?
Folks, if I may regain your attention. We're ready to reconvene if you're okay. I'll ask for silence in the room for the respect to the candidates. We'd like to reconvene, folks, can we? Thank you very much. Jillian, if you could start over. Who was in the middle of responding? Forgive me.
Next was Susan.
Okay.
I'm going to repeat the question.
Thank you.
Do you believe that the board should encourage residents to participate in committee activities by promoting such activities at board meetings?
Yes, they should, and we do. Matter of fact, when we do our orientations, we go over all the committees with the new resident and encourage them to be a part of it. We tell them a little bit about what's all about. And each one of us are liaisons to different committees here. So we work hand in hand. I happen to work with the Voice, and it's really a nice collaboration. So I always encourage people to join.
Ida?
I would say yes, I agree also. And it's a way and a form of communication. And it's a good way of getting suggestions from people being involved in the different committees. And that can help the board with decisions moving forward. Thank you.
Sharon?
I started my career here on committees. I think they're very important. I learned an awful lot by being on a committee, especially the finance part of it. And now I'm on the Welcome Committee, which is a very good way of welcoming new residents. So, and everything in between. The only committee I wasn't on was the Buildings and Grounds. But I'm going to make an effort to join that one next year. So I definitely believe committees are a good thing.
John?
Absolutely, we should be asking people to be engaged and involved, especially since it's part of the decision-making process that the board should be relying on. I appreciate everybody that's been on the board so far, whether they've just been a board member or the chair, the president of the board, because that's what allows this community to continue to be solvent. We can work at it better. I was on the Finance Committee, and then the Finance Committee disappeared. I'm glad to see it's back. People on the Finance Committee have already said that they would assist the board on effectively making sure that we're running the finances correctly. The financial reporting seems to be challenging. It took us 6 months to get squared away on the Comcast contract as to whether or not we received all of it, 75% of it, whether or not it was going to be credited all in this year, has to be spread out over the term of the contract. Myself and two of the people that have been involved with finances absolutely knew how to do it before it was done incorrectly. I will say on Florida, thank you. Next time.
Michelle?
When I moved here, the first thing I did within that year is to join the Covenant Committee and the Website and Technology Committee. And I think when you move here, I think it's very important for you to be involved, and that's how you learn about issues, about the laws and the rules, and you get more familiar of what is allowed and what is not allowed when you live here. So I think it's very important to be involved. And when people move here, they come with a lot of different experiences and skills, and that will be very beneficial when you join these different committees.
The next question, we're going to begin with Amy. Do you believe management should begin an aggressive campaign to compel compliance with the Concordia community bylaws?
Can you repeat that?
Yes. Do you believe management should begin an aggressive campaign to compel compliance with the bylaws?
So we have bylaws in place for a reason. Personally, I think that some of the bylaws are somewhat outdated and we need to revisit them. So I would say it depends on what kind of egregious bylaw, misdemeanors we're seeing. I think if somebody has a bird bath in back of their house, I don't want to call the police on them. But I do think that one of the first things that the committee should do, that the board should do, is to go over the bylaws and see what we need to change. So that's my opinion.
Paul?
Well, I agree with Amy. I mean, if there's a minor violation of some, like a bird bath in the backyard or having a bird a bird feeder instead of a bird house, I don't think the board should be going after these people. But, if someone is doing something, really egregious, like, tearing up common area or something, then the management should go after them.
Michelle?
That's a very interesting question. And of course, I agree with everyone. If someone is really doing something that will really damage, our property, of course, the board should have something to do about that. But if it's something that's minor, I think it's good to give people grace sometimes, because I think we all need that. So that's my answer.
John?
I like Michelle's comment about grace, and I like Michelle's comment about the degree of importance that item is. I think having somebody that moves into the community that wasn't aware that there's a $500 per whatever the time period was penalty for not having your dryer vent or your chimney done, I think it's a shame that that's how they get introduced to the community. On my first Friday, that was one of the people that came up to me. They've already paid the fine, so I'm going to see about whether or not that should be clawed back or not. But I think, again, based on the level of importance, there should be the appropriate level of, call it a penalty, and there should be clear communication so that there's not a question as to whether or not there is a violation going on, and we should make changes to the bylaws for the items that are outdated. Thank you.
Sharon?
I'm a little confused. You're referring to the bylaws?
Yes.
The bylaws are very difficult to change. We had an amendment 2 years ago, which we were able to pass, increasing the closing fees by 1 month, which brought in $50,000, but it took a lot of work to do that. I think what we're referring to here are the rules and regulations, which absolutely should be monitored, and if people are not following them, they should be warned first and then fined.
Ida?
I do agree that the bylaws need to be looked at, and if there are updates needed, that there should be updates. In areas of aggression regarding management, I think in certain issues or matters involving health, emergency, or priority issues, that yes, I feel that management should take aggression to resolve the situation, as long as everything is within the bylaws, legally and in accordance with the Concordian residents, and in all fairness for everyone that resides here in Concordia. Thank you.
Susan?
I don't think that management should go aggressively after anybody, but I would say that it should be a case-by-case basis. If something, many residents turn in other residents, so we have to take one case at a time. So I would say I wouldn't consider management, the need for management to go aggressively after anyone in the community.
The next question, we're going to begin with Sharon. What community bylaws do you believe are the most important?
Community bylaws. Well, the bylaws now, which we are trying to change, the new amendments that we are going to be voted on, having a new owner live in the unit for 2 years before they can rent it, and the fund transferring for frivolous claims that are brought against the community should not be the community's responsibility, but the owner's responsibility to pay. We have started at one point to review all the bylaws. I think we had a law firm come in, and I think we should have them come back and review all our bylaws because they are antiquated in some ways. So we will try to do that with the next board. Thank you.
Ida?
As a new board member, I will have to, and I have to be honest with everyone, become more educated with all of the bylaws. And so I agree with the board member to my right that yes, on the two issues of ownership and with the renters, there will be two questions, and I think those that are voting should vote yes, because if you are owning, and I think it is good that you have 2 years before you can rent, I think that would be beneficial for the Concordia residents as well. But I am in agreement with the updates of the bylaws. Thank you.
Susan?
Can you just repeat the question for me?
What community bylaws do you believe are the most important?
Well, I think they're all important, and that would actually be a good committee, to have a group of residents review the bylaws and bring them up to date, because a lot of them are very, very old. So times have changed, and maybe some of the bylaws should change too.
Amy?
Yes, I also agree with Sue and Sharon. The bylaws really need to be looked at again. And when you mentioned earlier about having committees, that would be a worthwhile committee to have people, go over them. Because how old is this community? It's almost 40 years old, and we're still using the bylaws that were established when the community, was built. So we really do need to take a closer look at them. But the amendment that's coming, the two amendments that are coming up, again, I urge everybody to vote yes to both of them. It will make it better for you when you go to sell your house. It'll make it easier for people to get mortgages with less renters. And so read the bylaws and vote yes. Thank you.
Paul?
I agree that, the bylaws govern the homeowners association, so they're all important. But again, there are bylaws that probably need to be changed, but the problem is to change them requires, a more than majority vote of the HOA of the homeowners, and that has seemed to be a problem getting, in the last couple of years. So just, we can review them and try to change as many as we can, but ultimately, we don't want to spend fortunes of money having bylaw elections if people aren't going to vote, and we can't even get a quorum to reach the decision whether or not to change it.
Michelle?
I also think that the bylaws need to be updated. I also think that those two amendments that we have to vote for, those are very beneficial to us.
John?
So the bylaws. So what's the most important one? I'm going to go back to the snow piece or the Florida piece. An example tonight, when the audio stopped, I had multiple people that live here that already told me that it was stopped, and they told me when it was back on after we got working on it. I didn't have to wind up touching any of those items to have a handle on we had an issue. While I was in Florida, the number of phone calls I got about dump trucks being loaded instead of the snow just being plowed off to the side probably raised our costs from $1.1 million to $1.1 million, where it probably should have been around $700,000. I'm friends or associates with two other local board presidents, and I've gone through the discussion with them as well on what things they did. One of those homeowners associations uses the same management company. Number 13, which is the annual audit, would be mine. I believe it was 13. We got a draft in March. We haven't seen, it's June. We haven't seen the audit finalized for our P&L. I'd like to see that. Thank you.
The next question, we're going to begin with John. Do you believe the HOA should place a lien against a property owner for the legal fees they are charged to compel compliance of the bylaws?
Let me just clarify. Do you believe the HOA should place a lien against a unit owner for the legal fees the HOA is charged to compel compliance with the bylaws? So a unit owner brings an action against the HOA, it results in legal fees. Do you believe that, the question then says, do you think the HOA should place a lien against that unit owner for the recovery of those fees?
Okay. So a unit owner sues us, we win the case, and the question is, should we get attorney fees back? There's a lot of items in the law, depending upon what that lawsuit was about, as to whether or not we should be entitled to those fees without having a whole lot of legal hassle. There's an attorney up here as well who's interested in being on the board that probably could answer this question a whole lot better than me. I would rely on our legal counsel and determine whether or not trying to get $600 in legal fees is worth spending $3,000, or should we just call it a day at the end of that? So again, I'd let common sense rule on whether or not our attorney has given us good advice that we have and we pay. He's on retainer, but we have an attorney up here that probably can answer that much more thoroughly. Thank you.
Michelle?
I agree with what John said. And I feel that we have to do everything in the best interest of the residents. So I feel that maybe there will be times when we need to go after certain residents to recoup fees, but we should not be, we should be mindful of the fact that at Concordia, a lot of our residents are on fixed budgets, so that might have an effect on what fees we can really collect. Thanks.
Paul?
Well, there's two issues. One is whether when a resident brings an action against the board and it's found to be frivolous, should the board collect the attorney's fees that it spent to defend the case be paid to the HOA? And under the new amendment, that's what would happen. If you bring a frivolous lawsuit, if you lose, then you have to pay the board's attorney fees, which I think is only right. The second issue would be if the board has to go after a homeowner to resolve some legal issue and the board wins, do we collect our attorney's fees? That could be an issue as to legally as to when you are entitled to such fees. And the question is, if you're not, do you try to go after the person, on a separate lawsuit? The question would be, how much is the legal fees that you're trying to get back? If you're going to spend $3,000 to get back $600, you're not going to do it.
Amy?
I think Paul answered the question. And as a lawyer, he knows the answer. I do agree that we should go after the homeowner for the legal fees on some of these cases. I don't necessarily think on every single one we should do that.
Susan?
I guess it would depend on how much the amount is. I would think a lien would be the very last resort. We should probably, our board is very compassionate, and so we try to look at what that person's currently owes, and maybe we can make a payment plan or something for them before putting a lien on their home.
Ida?
Yes, I believe that whatever the circumstances or the situation, that we should, as a board member, be advised by counsel the best route to go. That would be to the benefit of retrieving the funds. But necessarily, if we have to do a lien, I just feel like we would have to have legal counsel, and that's the best route to go. I'm not at liberty to really give a sound answer because I'm not an attorney. But under the advice of counsel, I think that the board would proceed accordingly. Thank you.
Sharon?
I believe we have to use common sense when it comes to legal fees that were charged to an account regarding some, that they sued us. But when a account is in the arrears and we have to turn them over to an attorney for collection and a lien has to be put on the property, then 100% of the legal fees are charged to that unit owner. And that we fight to collect.
Oh, sounds like there might be no sound again for the feed at home I heard from the.
Yeah, the sound's on for some people. Your sound's not on. Your sound isn't on. At home. You don't get it at all, do you? Right. Mike, there's multiple people. Oh, you're waiting for them. Never mind.
I just got Corey's in the control room. Once he tells us we're good to go.
Multiple people are telling me it's on. Okay.
Who knows what time the big game starts?
It has to do with Corey is on YouTube and Channel 26 trying to stream it on. And I think this is something with connections or.
No, because didn't they get the new equipment that we
Yes.
So let's bring that something live stream to be
No, if she's finished with the questions, we can say good, give our closing statements and get out of here. I'm not even gonna give a closing statement, I don't know. Everything is reiterated. I wanted to say, well, I have two things to say.
Corey, we good? All right, folks. So the comment came from the crowd that there was no sound. Apparently, that's not the case. So again, we'll ask for the crowd comments to please stay at a minimum. The crowd comment ultimately led to this interruption. So please keep the comments to yourself. We have some folks here controlling the recording, and they seem to have the inclination that it's running. So when we're hearing from the audience that it's not working, we have to stop and then go and confirm that it's running. So please let these folks do their job, and then these folks can do their job. And then we can all get on with the rest of this evening. The two interruptions we've had are going to add about 10 minutes to this session. So let's get right back to it, please. And thank you.
All right, I'm going to repeat the question. Do you believe the HOA should place a lien against property owned?
I answered that, okay.
Oh, we did. Sorry.
Did anyone not answer this question?
I think I was the last one.
Okay. Let's move. Thank you.
We're going to go to the next question. We're going to start with Ida. Do you believe lawyers are actually necessary to negotiate issues between HOA management and resident homeowners?
I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to repeat it before it starts.
Do you believe lawyers are necessary to negotiate issues between HOA management and resident homeowners?
It depends on the circumstances and what it's in reference to. There may be a need for counsel, and if there is no need for counsel and it can be handled within house, then so be it. But again, it depends on the circumstances legally. And just to be on the safe side, you are going to want to have the advice of counsel to make sure that you're proceeding in the proper way. So this way, it won't be any blowbacks for the board. Thank you.
Susan?
I have to say, I really don't understand that question because we have legal counsel at hand. Whenever we need their advice, we can turn to them. I'm trying to think of a situation where a resident would sue or have a legal action against the management company. So I'm a little bit at a loss for that, unless there's another part of it or something.
That's the full question.
Okay, then I did understand it correctly.
Amy?
I was actually going to say something similar. We retain a lawyer, a law firm, if you will, and anytime we need advice, we consult with that law firm, and they'll tell us whether we need to use them for a particular issue or not. So I'm not sure what the reason behind that question is, but we have legal people.
Paul?
I agree, because if it's a minor issue, I mean, certainly management can deal with the homeowner with the advice of the board as to what needs to be done. They don't need to retain don't pay the attorney to actually negotiate with the homeowner. If it's a major issue, then obviously the board will ask the retain counsel to do the negotiations, and if they're not unsure, they will, ask the attorney whether they think they need to have an attorney involved.
Michelle?
I also will say if it's a small issue that can be dealt with without any lawyers, that's always a good thing. But if it's a major issue, I think legal counsel is necessary.
John?
I believe we should have, and I believe we do have a management company and a management individual on site that is able to handle substantially what's needed when there is some sort of a disagreement between a homeowner and the HOA. If it escalates, obviously it should be that the management company is relying on our attorney for advice. In the businesses that I've run, I send letters out to individuals, not suing them, but when there's items that are of a legal nature. I said I did a lot of estate planning. I did a lot of other items that I needed to protect myself when I was advising clients. When I did that, I signed the letter that my attorney helped me draft. As a for instance, we have a home here. I would hope that the attorney was involved, the home that we now own, I believe, that has a huge amount of debt on it. Did we know that? It didn't seem like we did when we took it over. If we had an attorney involved on that, we shouldn't use that attorney. If we didn't have an attorney on that, we should have been using them. So as it escalates, let's use them.
Sharon?
I agree with what the other members up here have said, the candidates. We have an attorney, we have a very good attorney, and when we find it's necessary to use his advice, we do. And these situations don't arise very often, but when they do, management mostly handles it with the advice from the attorney.
The next question is for our incumbents. We're going to begin with Amy. Have you read and evaluated the job descriptions of office staff personnel?
We have not read the documents. We have discussed it at length. and we know exactly what the office personnel is supposed to be doing.
Susan?
Actually, recent employment, I know that it is being worked on, that there's going to be a clear explanation for each person and what their responsibilities will be. But yeah, for the most part, we know what they do and what their responsibilities are. I've never seen anything in writing per se, but we have to interact with them for all the different responsibilities that they work on, so.
Sharon?
I have read job descriptions in the past, but since First Service came on board and the jobs have been reorganized, I don't believe we've seen new job descriptions, though we are well aware of what each individual does, having worked with them. So job descriptions are needed, and I'm sure they will be forthcoming.
This is
Excuse me. I'd like to have 30 seconds on that. If I'm on the board within 90 days, I'll have seen every job description and the head count that we have that we're paying for. Thank you.
Would any other candidate like to answer that? That's not an incumbent. You're more than welcome to. You may move on.
The next question is a follow-up to the previous. We're going to begin with Susan. Based on your review, is the office properly staffed?
Right now, I think we're just waiting on maybe another part-time concierge to help us out on the weekends. But yeah, now we're pretty much, we were very short-handed for several months. We had some employees had health issues, and then we actually had a few of our employees find, one young lady went back to college and another young lady found another opportunity. So we were a little bit behind, but now we've been able to get the staff back up to where we want it.
Sharon?
Staffing is management's responsibility. And I believe now, with the addition of Bobby Siegel and possibly one other part-time concierge, we will have the proper staffing available.
Amy?
Yeah, we were in a little bit of a situation when two full-timers left, and then we had some health issues with the concierge. It's very actually difficult to find a concierge. If any of you have friends who don't live in the community who want to work as a concierge, you should tell them to come see Mike. But I believe we're in a much, much better place right now.
The next question is also for the incumbents. We're going to begin with Sharon. Can there be any consolidation or changes of job responsibilities to reduce staff and expenses?
There's always a possibility of changes and consolidation depending upon the employees that are hired. Right now, I think Mike has handled it very well, and once we have job descriptions based on what the new employees are doing, I think the office will be running very smoothly, and residents will have confidence in the work being done.
Amy?
My background is in process engineering and making things smoother. So as Sharon said, there's always room for improvement. However, I think we're at a really good place right now. And certainly we will, not can, if I'm reelected, we will continue to look at how jobs are functioning and what we can do to make them smoother and make them more streamlined. So yeah, there's always room for improvement, but I think we're in a good place.
Susan?
I'm not sure if everyone knows how many employees we have. We don't have that many. But they all have their job function, and I mean, I guess you could see if there's any consolidation that could be done, but for the most part, I think we're pretty much set with what we have now.
The next question is also for the incumbents. We're going to begin with Amy. This is pertaining to the office. Any recommendations you would make to improve workflow?
I'm sorry, I know I'm not asked the question. Can you just repeat it so everybody else can hear it? It sounded like there was something.
Pertaining to the office, is there any recommendations you would make to improve workflow?
Yes. I believe that there needs to be specific duties assigned first thing in the morning, every morning. I think anything that is put onto Neighbor Network needs to also at the same time go on WCOC, needs to go on the website, needs to be a smooth, consistent flow of information on all of those sites, all of our sites. We're trying. We are currently, we have somebody who's going to be doing that, who is, I believe, has already started doing that. But the main thing is to deal with communication. So we need to improve that, definitely.
Susan?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Pertaining to the office, are there any recommendations you would make to improve workflow?
Well, one of the things that I'm kind of passionate about is keeping our webpage up to date. So we've made requests that that be done first thing in the morning with any changes that should be, because we'd like to get people used to going there and knowing that they'll find what they need there. Other than that, I mean, we're trying to function with some part-time workers, and there's also like a learning curve. So we lost, one of our young ladies was very, very helpful with a lot of the website work, and she had to be trained, and it took time for her to know how to do all the things she had to do. So, you know, you just have to be patient and let people, you know, learn the job.
Sharon?
I think with the current staff, when they learn all their responsibilities, I believe we will need some cross-training, so when one person is out on vacation, the job can continue to be done without interruption. And that's about it. I think once we're fully staffed, we'll be fine.
This question is for the, this is for the non-incumbent candidates. We're going to begin with John. What steps would you take to work with management to evaluate office staff to determine if staffing is adequate or if any changes can be made to reduce costs?
Thank you for the question. I would like to see within 90 days our head count, which I asked at the last open board meeting when I stood over there. I would like to get the job descriptions. I think the homeowners here are entitled to see that as well. So as soon as I get it, and whatever the behind the curtain wizard allows to be put on Neighbor or the new Concordia 55 or whatever, it's going to be there without pay, without personal items, without confidential items, but you're going to know what the head count is and what we're paying for and what the job descriptions are. So when you're looking for somebody and you're looking for Eric and you're saying, wait a second, this isn't getting done. Oh, wait, it's Rescom. Who do I talk to? That's going to be within 90 days. You're going to have a handle on that if I'm able to accomplish it. And if I don't, you're going to know it. And I want you to come. You've got my address, 6 James Buchanan. Let me know I'm not doing my job for you. I don't care if I'm in Florida. I'm accessible by phone. Thank you.
Michelle?
Can you repeat the question, please? Because I didn't hear the last part.
What steps would you take to work with management to evaluate office staff to determine if staffing is adequate or if any changes can be made to reduce costs?
Well, the first thing I will do is exactly find out what each person does. See, when you find out what each person does, you'll be able to see if some of those responsibilities can be combined, if they're doing enough work, if they have enough work on their plates, and also to let the residents know who is doing what and who is available. If there is no one at the front desk, I think the residents should be able to know that also. So the main thing is to know who is actually on our employee list and their job description.
Paul?
Well, the first thing I would do is consult with other members of the board who are more knowledgeable as to what, the employee status is and who the employees are and what they're doing. And then after that, we would sit down and discuss whether or not we have enough staff, and if we don't have enough staff, how to increase it without increasing costs too much. And if we think there is too many staff members for the work to be done, then discuss with management how to reduce it and assign, other workers the jobs that are being done.
Ida?
Can you repeat the question?
What steps would you take to work with management to evaluate office staff to determine if staffing is adequate or if any changes can be made to reduce costs?
Okay, so with the background and experience of landscaping and roadway operations, we had an issue this past winter. All the Concordian residents were aware. So I would take the necessary steps, and I would share my knowledge and information regarding vendors that can possibly be a part of the staffing, and that can also help reduction in costs, but it will give us some ideas of things that we can, steps that we can take for better solutions regarding snow and weather, seasonal weather-related issues. And as for the staffing as well, I would work with management in any way possible, as long as it's beneficial and it's a help for Concordia and it's making all situations better. Thank you.
Julian, can I answer that question also?
Yes.
It's not a secret. We have 5 full-time employees in the office, plus 2 part-timers. We also have 1 part-timer in maintenance and 1 facility manager. Those are the people working here. And I believe most of the residents know who they are, except for the 2 new ones.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to answer that question?
Well, I just wanted to add that the employees are on the website.
Thank you.
This question is for the new candidates. We're going to begin with Ida. Would you support continued social expenses with budget issues?
Can you repeat?
Yeah, repeat that, please. Would I support?
Sure. So the question came in if the new candidates would continue to support the social activities of the community given the current budget issues.
With the current budget issues?
Yes, in light of your community's current budget issues, would you continue to support social activities and social expenses here?
Yes,
your
I-
community has
I would continue to support in any way that I can, and as long as I'm in compliance in accordance with the board, yes.
Paul?
The social activities, affect the quality of life for the community. And, although we have financial challenges, I think it's important that those continue. I don't think they're a major portion of our budget. And, you know, I mean, I know the tunes on the terrace are very popular, and, you know, you know, those, and apparently a lot of the community likes it, and I think it's important to have these activities to make, you know, people feel comfortable and, you know, bring a sense of community to the HOA.
Michelle?
Yes, I will definitely support that, because when people move in here, those are the things that actually draw them to actually purchase their home here. And I think lots of people don't have friends and family, and I think that's a way for them to enjoy each other company, and when they don't have any family living around them. That's it.
John?
I'd like to continue all of the activities, social activities that we're doing. What I would also like to do is get an idea of what each one costs us, or are they done by volunteers? And then if 80 people attend something and it's costing us $3,000, maybe that's something the board should take a look at beyond the first audit of what are all the social activities and the costs. Thank you.
This question is for
Can I
all.
add to that, please, Mike? I just,
Absolutely, yes.
because of that question coming from a resident, I would want people to know that because of the quality of the events that our lifestyle director puts out, we are pretty much covering the costs for, you know, through ticket sales. So there's no over expenditure in that department.
Does anyone else want to speak to this? Thank you.
This question is for all candidates. We're going to begin with Amy. What changes will you look to institute if elected or re-elected?
Well, the first one, as we've all been saying, is the communication from the board and management to the community. We have to change the way we're doing things. That's a very big priority. We've also got some other things. We really need to continue to manage the budget while we're making the improvements that we so vastly need here. So that's something that I'm very, very well aware of, and something that I strive to continue working on.
Paul?
Again, I think the biggest change that needs to be made is to have better communication between the board and the community on upcoming changes or things that are being discussed, so the community is aware of what the board is, you know, intending to do on certain issues. As far as any other changes, I mean, again, it all depends on, you know, the cost of things, and, you know, whether we can keep the HOA fees to a reasonable amount, raise every year without, you know, going above, you know, a certain level.
Michelle?
I think the biggest changes that we need to do is to improve our communication between the board and residents, between management and residents. And we need to answer these three questions. Why is communication so poor? What can we do to improve it, and how we are going to go about doing it? And when that is done, residents will feel valued, they will feel respected, and they will feel heard.
John?
So for me, the top item is a combination of transparency and communication, because communication is a two-way street. It's not a diatribe. So the board telling you what they want to tell you when they want to tell you isn't overly helpful sometimes, but having a communication dialogue is. So if the board is actually saying ahead of time, here's the items we're going to cover at next month's meeting, and it gives an opportunity for that discussion to happen beforehand, and then at the meeting, there's a further discussion, and then maybe a town hall, maybe there's a survey. I'm not sure what the right way to do it would be. It depends upon the circumstance, but I think transparency on what are the decisions being made would be my number one item.
Sharon?
Well, obviously, we have a communication problem, starting with the way we stream this event. So the first thing I would do is upgrade the equipment here so we don't have these problems.
Ida?
I would say find a better way to communicate with the residents. Ask the residents what they want, what they need, and we as board members, because we care, show that we are resolving whatever issues or concerns that they may have. Because to me, actions always speaks louder than words. Thank you.
Susan?
Can you repeat the question, please?
What changes will you look to institute if elected or re-elected?
I really don't have any change per se. What I would continue to do is to balance chipping away at the deficit, at the same time keeping our community affordable. It's easy to just raise the HOA fees and, to fill the pot, but it makes it more difficult for our residents. It's a financial burden.
Thank you, everyone. Alice, if you're ready for your encore. Thank you. We'll move to closing statements now, and we've got about...
I submitted 10 questions, not one of them was asked. I submitted them yesterday afternoon. I got an email back saying my questions were received. Not one of them was asked.
We're out of time, Paul. Thank you. It's 8:57. So I'm the moderator? Thank you. Got it. I'm the moderator, and I'm going to move to closing statements now. Sorry, excuse me. I'm the timekeeper, Paul. You're right. Jillian Stieber's the moderator. Alice, please. Thank you.
Why did he submit them so late?
Same thing like we did before, if you don't mind. Okay, go right ahead. Who's first? Ida will be first on closing statement.
Congratulations. You finished early.
Paul, you will be second for closing statement. Sue, you will be third for closing statement. Amy, you will be 4 for closing statement. Michelle, you will be 5 for closing statement. Sharon, you will be 6 for closing statement. This is the final. John, you will go last for your closing statement, sir. You are done. Alice, thank you very much for your service tonight. We're working on your lice, man. Thank you.
You earned it, Alice. You earned it.
Thank you. Given the couple interruptions we had, we'll extend your closing statements to 2 minutes from 90 seconds, if that's okay with all of you. It'll give you a chance to have a little bit more of an uninterrupted statement. All righty? I will give you the 15-second yield at the minute 45, but I will be happy to allow you all to have a 2-minute closing statement. So, Ida, whenever you're ready, you may begin. Let me just get the clock ready. Thank you. Ready when you are.
Okay. In closing, I just want to say I am willing to serve with integrity and respect for all residents. If I'm given the opportunity to contribute my experience, I just want everyone to know that I will not just be a board member, but I will be someone who will advocate for all residents. New eyes brings new ideas. Thank you.
Please be respectful to the candidates with their closing statements. If you have any comments, please leave them for after candidates night. Thank you. Next will be Paul.
If you vote for me, I promise to work as hard as I can to serve the community, to make sure that our money is going to the right places and our costs are kept to the minimum possible. As I said, I believe I can be an asset to the board. I'm a team player, and I think overall I can do a good job for the community.
Sue?
Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight, and those of you who are watching at home. We are very fortunate to have 4 new folks step up, and they're all qualified residents, to volunteer their time and talent to serve our community. I would be honored to earn the vote and continue to work on your behalf. To my fellow candidates, I would like to promise you tonight that if I am not reelected, I will support and encourage all of you for the upcoming year, not criticize, not find fault, without offering solutions, because that's how our community will move forward. And to my fellow residents, I am proud of our accomplishments, and if I can count on your vote, I will continue working to protect our finances, work on improving communication, and help ensure that Concordia remains an outstanding community that we all enjoy. Thank you for your support and for the opportunity to serve you for the past 2 years.
Amy?
So again, thank you everybody for being here, and those of you who are on WCOC. I want to say, no one can predict the future, but we would be naive to think prices are dropping. As we sit here tonight, gas is double what it was last year, causing everything else to go up. Groceries require you to take out a home equity loan, and our utilities keep getting higher. All of this impacts our community's costs and therefore our HOA fees. But I'm focused on keeping our costs as manageable as possible while still making the much improvements we need on things like the clubhouse and throughout the community. We have accomplished much. This board has been phenomenal. We've been collaborative. We've done a lot. And there's still a lot of important work we need to do. I'm committed to bringing my experience, my dedication, and collaborative approach to the challenges and opportunities that lie before us. I would be honored to continue to serve as a trustee, and I respectfully ask for your vote. Thank you all.
Michelle?
My neighbors have asked me for proper representation that is honest, transparent, and accountable. Our community deserves leadership that does not just identify problems, but works diligently to resolve them. I am prepared to deliver on that responsibility. The election is not simply a test of me as a candidate, it is also a test of all of us as a community. For years, many of you have raised concerns, voiced complaints, and called for change. Now you have the opportunity to support those very things. When you look in the mirror after this election, ask yourself, who do you see? Do you see a person who stood on the sidelines, or do you see a person who became part of the solution? The choice is yours, and the future of our community is in your hands. I am prepared to stand before you and be judged on my commitment, integrity, and willingness to serve. I respectfully ask for your vote and your support. Together we can bring the honesty, transparency, accountability, and proper representation that so many of you have been asking for. The opportunity for change is before us. Let us seize it and see it through to the end. Thank you.
Sharon?
First of all, I'd like to recognize the other board members that are not sitting up here. Donna Williams and Diana Miller, and of course our president, Chad Henderson. They made working with this board a privilege, and they are an asset to the community. And I'm asking you for your vote to continue the work that they have allowed me and that you need to be done. I'd like to tell you about a couple of things that are coming up which people have asked for. New carpeting will be installed shortly. I know we all want that. We will be investigating and looking at bids to replace and upgrade our bathrooms and our locker rooms. And I'd like to be a part of those projects. So I'm asking for your vote, and I'm also asking for you to vote for the 2 amendments. Thank you.
John?
I want to thank everybody that's listening or watching, sitting here. You could have been doing something else. I think all of us are thrilled that you guys have paid attention to what we're going over. I've named a few items, if I'm on the board, that within 90 days I'm expecting to, with the entire board's support or a consensus of the board, to be able to move that forward. You should know fairly quickly that you're going to have a board that's going to work for you because, and I just want to make sure I do it correctly, the board works for the homeowners and the management company works for the board for the homeowners. You guys are the ones that should be making the final decisions, not on every single vote, but the direction that this community goes. And our finances is part of that. I'm a finance guy. That's not what I really enjoy doing, but I'd like to see the end result of it. And I'd like to see that we're getting things done the way they need to be, the budget being done the way it should be. And again, and I don't want to go into details, but there's discrepancies between what our December numbers showed and what the unaudited showed, which is one of the reasons why I'd like to see the audited report. It's June. So again, making sure that you guys have your home. My dad was a child of the Depression. Nobody my age understands it better. So I'm not looking to raise HOA fees 15, 20, 30% just because people can afford it. I'm looking to make sure we're getting the biggest bang for our buck. And again, my dad grew up 60 feet from the house that his uncle lived in. When his dad died, he lived in a shed. My grandmother would come once a week back from work. I understand the value of a nickel. We have a family limit of a 5-cent bet in our family. It's not the amount of money, it's the point of who has the winning bet. But the idea behind it is he understood what a nickel was and a penny was. I ask you for your vote and thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. To the candidates,
Everybody, for
thank you all. Thank you all for your participation, for your patience, and your cooperation. To the homeowners and the unit owners, thank you very much for your attendance, your cooperation, and your participation. This will conclude the candidates' night formally. The candidates are welcome to stay. You are welcome to stay.